creating a delegable farm. You see, when we sit down with CPA farm owners and start mapping out the operation, there's always a moment, and it usually happens about 40 minutes in. We've been asking questions about decisions, about client relationships, about what happens when they are unavailable. And we start writing the answers on a whiteboard, a big whiteboard with a nice black marker. And at some point in this process, the owner goes quiet, real quiet, because what's on the whiteboard isn't a farm. What's on the whiteboard is them. We realize that every critical decision, every piece of institutional knowledge, every client relationship that actually matters, every judgment call that keeps work accurate, it's all sitting inside one person's head. Yet the employees are real. Yet the revenue is real. Yet the office is real. But the firm's actual operating intelligence of the business lives inside one skull. And the day that person is unavailable, the firm doesn't just slow down. It stops knowing what to do. My name is Ephraim Asher, and I run Chazara Consulting, whereby we work exclusively with CPA firm owners doing 1 to 5 million in revenue who have built something real and accidentally made themselves the only thing holding it together. This series is called the Delegable Firm. Over 12 weeks, I'm going to be showing you the exact methodology we use to move the operating intelligence out from our firms. We used to move the operating intelligence of a firm out of the owner's head into the firm itself, into documented systems, into decision frameworks, into structured handoffs, and a team that can run the operation without needing to ask. Today, I want to start with what we actually find when we walk in, because until you see the real problem clearly, every solution you try will feel like it is almost working. So let's dive in. So, first we'll talk about the whiteboard moment, and let me describe what this whiteboard moment actually looks like. So we go in, we start asking questions. We run this dependency audit. We ask a firm owner, well, who makes the calls when a client has an unusual transaction that doesn't fit the standard process? They do. We're like, okay, fine. So who decides whether to take on a new client that's outside your typical profile? They do. Who do clients call when something feels wrong, even if there's a staff member assigned to it? They do. Who holds the history on your 20 longest relationships? Why certain decisions were made? What sensitivities exist? What clients actually need versus what they say they need? They do. Okay. Who knows which staff members can handle which types of work without supervision? They do. Well, okay, fine. Who carries the quality standard, the internal sense of what good looks like? And that is everything. And that's everything. Who carries the quality standard of internal sense of what goods look like? That's everything gets measured against before it goes out. They do. And by the time we're done, we discover that we have a whiteboard full of functions, decisions, and knowledge. And next, almost it's all under one name. And that's not a people problem or a training problem. That's a firm where the operating system is a human being. Now, let me explain why this happens and why it makes sense. So, here's what I want you to understand before you feel bad about any of this if you're in this particular situation. The way your firm is built right now was the correct response to every situation you faced while you were building it. And when you needed quality, you were the fastest path. When you needed clients to trust the work, you were the most credible person to deliver it. When you needed decisions made quickly, you were the most qualified person to make them. The firm organized itself around you because in every critical moment, you were the right answer. Now, the problem isn't that you did something wrong. The problem is you never built the alternative. You built capacity, more staff, more clients, more revenue, but you never built transferability. You never moved what you know, how you decide, and how you maintain relationships out of your head and into a structure the firm could run on without you. So the firm grew, and every time it grew around you because that was the path of least resistance. It was flowing like water. And now you're load bearing in structure that was never designed to redistribute the weight. So, what's actually inside the owner's head, if I may ask? Okay, fine, blah blah blah, but what's actually in my head? So, when we do a full dependency audit with a firm, we are mapping three distinct categories of knowledge that have accumulated inside the owner. The first one is procedural knowledge, how things actually get done. Not the official version, but the real version, the shortcuts, the exceptions, the specific sequence that produces good outputs for this firm's client base. Staff knows, staff often knows this part of it. The owner knows it all, including why the exceptions exist. The second type of knowledge that the owner has in his head, but we also have the map out, is the judgment knowledge. And here's how to read a situation that doesn't fit the standard case. What to do when a client pushes back on a fee, how to handle a filing that is a gray area, when to escalate to a specialist, and when to handle it in-house. This is the accumulated pattern recognition of years of practice, and almost none of it is written down. The third one is the relational knowledge. What each client actually needs beyond what they're paying for. Which clients are emotionally fragile about their financials? Which relationships are built on trust in the owner, personally versus trust in the firm? What history exists that shapes every currency interaction? This knowledge is almost never transferable because it was never structured to be. Three categories. All of them live inside the owner's head. None of them are in the firm. And the gap between what the owner knows and what the firm knows, that gap is the dependency. And that gap is what we're closing. Now, there's a version of your firm where that whiteboard looks different. Where the decisions that currently wait for you are handled by frameworks your team uses without asking, where the knowledge that currently lives in your head is documented in a form that is actually usable and not an SOP graveyard, a living decision infrastructure, where a firm where client relationships that currently routed to you personally are managed by the team members who have been handed off properly, not just introduced and abandoned. A firm exists and we've helped build it. And the difference between that firm and yours right now is not talent, is not culture, and definitely not a better team. It's instead the architecture. So this Thursday we're doing a dependency audit. The 7 diagnostic lines that map exactly where the knowledge in your firm lives, where the decisions stack up, and where the handoff infrastructure is missing. You're going to walk away with a precise picture of your dependency structure, not just a general sense of it. So one thing to do before Thursday though is take the dependency audit score and the assessment. It's linked in the description. It's about 8 minutes, 7 dimensions, and at the end you have a score that tells you how concentrated your firm operational intelligence is and where the highest leverage fixes are. If your score comes back high and you want to talk through about what it means for a specific situation, you could book a 20 free dependency audit call with my team directly for the assessment. No pitch, just a real conversation about your structure. The link is below. Come back next week, this Thursday really, like I did. So come back this Thursday. We're gonna be doing we're going to go into the we're going to go into the rough, right? So until then, stay safe.